This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and live and available to the DAZN app subscribers. I'm delighted to be joined here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. What a pleasure. Firstly, I owe you and your team big thanks to having me down this afternoon, Mr. Alistair Overeem. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Excellent. We're here. We're on ground zero. A very exciting fight coming up. Could not be more enthusiastic.
Well, we're going to get...
match.
We're going to get into all of that. Just firstly, we were having a little chat off camera. It's your first time in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on your time here so far?
Say again?
Your thoughts on your time in Riyadh so far?
My thoughts?
Yeah, like, you enjoying it?
Absolutely, yep. Infrastructure beautiful, people super friendly. I don't know, you have a preconception, right? Before you go somewhere, and it's just so nice over here. Food is amazing. Yeah, it's nice. Kind of similar to Dubai.
Yes.
Been to Dubai many times, and I thought it would be kind of more backwards, more like you go back in time. But it's very modern, very pleasant, very nice. Yeah.
It's certainly becoming a hotspot and a hub for sport in the Middle East. Not only boxing, we saw PFL versus Bellator here the other week. Yeah. They had the snooker on this week. So many sports coming over here. We know that WWE have been coming over here regularly.
Fantastic, right?
Exciting times. I mean, more money in sport, the better, right? We're seeing all the biggest fights, the biggest events happening. We know that the UFC may be coming here. Firsthand, it's exciting. We're seeing all the biggest fights.
Yes, absolutely. So it appears that Saudi Arabia is in business, right? They want to attract sports to their country, setting up these huge sports events. A little bit, I would say, out of the book of Dubai, because Dubai kind of was doing the similar, right? Building infrastructure, getting all the attention. Saudi Arabia is now copying that tactic, and it looks like it's working out.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're here for Friday night. Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. Just first-hand, how good is Francis Ngannou in the boxing ring? We saw that Tyson Fury fight. A lot of boxing purists, myself included, we felt it was... we weren't too sure how seriously we could take it when Francis fought Tyson Fury, but he went in and he shocked the world. He put in a great performance.
But after the fight, it was granted, right? After the fight, and did he surprise you in that manner? Did he? Are you sure impressed? But did he surprise you?
Yes, he did. And I spoke to him yesterday. I think one of the things that threw a lot of people off was, do you remember the pad work that he put out in the lead up to the fight? Now, to this day, I still can't seem to get an answer out of him, whether it was sort of playing games or not, because the pad work he's been doing this week is devastating. You know, looks like a seasoned pro. When we saw him in the build up to the Tyson Fury fight, it looked like a man who'd never boxed. But to this day, I don't know if maybe he was doing that to look like a novice but it seems like this guy can really fight.
So, of course he can fight. So much experience, right? And not only his life story is so inspiring, but let's not forget, in MMA, UFC, one of our strategies as a fighter, as a former fighter, is to put off your opponent. So to trick your opponent into putting up fake pad work is just a clever strategy. And on the other hand, why would you display your boxing? Nobody knew it, right? So that was like a secret weapon. So I fully agree. Keep that as a secret. Make that the surprise during the fight. And he did knock him down, right? The 8 count. That did happen.
Did it surprise you when you were watching it unfold?
Well, so I am a little biased? I guess I am biased. Number one, I fought Francis Ngannou, and number two, I myself made the crossover from MMA into K1, putting on the small gloves. Ultimately, what was it, like 1.5 years later, I became champion in K1. So of course, I like these crossover matches, and of course, me being, I think I was the first successful one. There's been a lot more, but I was the first one to actually become champion. Of course, I'm rooting for the underdog, right? Coming from MMA, my sport, going into a very difficult sport, right? Boxing is very difficult than MMA. It's very specialized, right? When you have all these top names, there's a lot of details that go into their training camps. And for us to successfully make the transition, for us, there's a lot of details as well, but it's spread out over the arts. And in boxing, it's all concentrated in, just your hands. but there's so much details around that. And for him to be successful, and for Francis to be successful in this other arena, and against Tyson Fury, right? That he did lose on decision, but what a performance it was. Can only take my hat off for that.
I suppose also as well, you talk about making that crossover yourself and becoming that world champion in K1, and sort of proving, I suppose maybe proving people wrong, I don't know, but you've seen firsthand that you can do it, you can cross over. Maybe that was why you had a bit more faith. And we also know that Francis Ngannou, before he actually wanted to be an MMA fighter, he was always quite a seasoned boxer anyway. So with all of that, that maybe gave you more faith in him than others, perhaps?
Well, I didn't know about his boxing pedigree, his boxing background, but I know he's physically super strong. His life story is just super inspiring, and he can take a punch, right? He's just built as a fighter, and the underestimation factor that the boxing world would have on somebody who had 0 fights would be a factor, I would assume, him coming into the boxing world. So all in all, just excitement. I just got enthusiastic about the whole thing. It's on the biggest stage, right? How can you not like these crossover matchups? 12
months is a short time in this industry. 12 months ago, it was seen as a gimmick that Tyson Fury was fighting Francis Ngannou. Now he's 1 day away from facing probably the most in-form heavyweight right now, an absolute superstar in Anthony Joshua. What do you think going into the fight? AJ's in great form.
Well, I don't know about the shape. I saw him yesterday, we spoke brief, but I didn't ask him about his training camp. I can imagine it has been going well. He's been at it for a long time. He's packed on some muscle, which is needed, right? Because otherwise you're giving away too much weight advantage. Anthony Joshua, yeah, what can I say? Seasoned veteran, right? And he's in a nice fight rhythm as well. So I assume we're going to see a very sharp, very strong Anthony Joshua, packed on the weight. But then again, on the other hand, Francis Ngannou has the power. I think he's built on his confidence, right? Going into the boxing ring for the first time, there's some nerves there. It's going to work out. It's not going to work out. 10 rounds, yeah, right? In UFC we do three or 5 minutes, and then he was a champion. We would do 5 or 5 minutes, but going into 10 rounds, yeah, there's some nerves there, right? How it's going to work out? You're fighting a big man. Tyson Fury is a big heavyweight. So, but I think right now there's no nerves. He's got the weight advantage. He's been through 10 rounds. He's felt it. He's done it. He knocked Tyson Fury down. That has been a huge confidence boost.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to see a different Francis Ngannou. Don't want to take anything away from Anthony Joshua. He's a great champion and an icon in the sport. But if I would have to put my money on somebody, it would have to be Francis.
Okay.
Because of his life path, a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
Right?
Inspiring. So inspiring.
So inspiring. But his way of facing adversity and overcoming adversity, time and time again, makes me look at him in a little bit different, and I fought him as well, right? So I know how strong he is, and yeah, there's actually I think he's the strongest guy I ever fought. Yeah, he is.
Let me elaborate on that, because everyone has been speaking about how much of a giant this guy is. I stood next to him yesterday when I interviewed him and stood for a photo. He's absolute. I mean, AJ's big, right? But this guy is just
solid.
Solid is the perfect word.
Your best shots, multiple shots, and then what?
There's the video of him hitting the punch bag, and it looks like it's the most effortless swing ever. Yeah. And he, the most half-assed right hand, and he absolutely breaks the machine. And
then, but when we listen to his story, his life story, he was working in the mines as a child, right? So he's been at it for
risked his life to get over to Europe.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and So again, looking at how he faces adversity, his life story. Seeing both of the gentlemen at the press conference, I'm leaning more towards Francis. because I also as a fighter I look at the whole situation a little bit different, right? I've had
Of
so
course.
many face-offs, so many looking eyes, and what I'm looking for is confidence, insecurity, nerves. So I look at it a little bit different, and also I look at the physique. I look at the way. I kind of look at everything at the same time, and I think Francis is looking very secure, very strong, and there's a power charge there. Yeah.
You mentioned about fighters being in good rhythm and having good activity.
Yeah.
They both have that right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
we saw there was a time period where Anthony Joshua was fighting once every 18 months.
Yeah.
He started to become a little bit static. Francis Ngannou, active in the UFC, then comes into boxing, has the fight with Tyson Fury. What was that? Sort of towards the back end of last year now has a fight. Yeah.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
Just staying active. Yeah,
Precisely.
I took a week off, went straight back.
AJ 4 fights in 11 months. We're getting both of these guys.
An excellent,
Precisely.
excellent
How important is that both of them are in such an active stage in their
then
career?
there's no excuses, right? You want people at the primes in the best shape, and I think with Anthony Joshua, 4 fights in 11 months, as you mentioned, Francis Ngannou coming off the November fight, no injuries, and then right back into it. Yeah, we're going to see a monster clash, right? Both gentlemen. It's going to be an exciting evening tomorrow.
Let me pick your brains. Tyson Fury yesterday. Supposedly at Turki Al Sheikh's house on Tuesday night. We're on Thursday now. Tuesday night, Tyson Fury went over and confronted Francis about some of his comments. Apparently, Tyson had called Francis a coward. I mean, Francis, you'll know firsthand how cool, calm and collected. But yesterday at the press conference, Francis stuck it on Tyson Fury. Said, "I'll beat you every day and twice on a Sunday," one of Tyson's lines. He also said, "You need to stay away from me outside of a ring because you don't want that." It's heating up between the pair of them again. What do you make of it all? Why is Tyson Fury resentful towards Francis, do you think?
Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, right? But I think Francis poses a legitimate threat. You know, in size, in terms of resume. But then on the other hand, I'm going to hold this a little bit closer. On the other hand, isn't this a great setup for a potential rematch, right? Of course, Tyson Fury-Usyk coming up, right? We're going to also attend that. But the rematch, it's already written in the books, right?
You mentioned,
and who doesn't like a little smack talk? Back
I
and forth?
know.
And from those two gentlemen.
Of course.
It is just amusement. I can enjoy it. I can appreciate it, and it's going to be fireworks on Friday, and then of course Usyk Fury, and then what comes after. So they just brought a whole new wave of energy into the boxing scene here in Saudi Arabia, and couldn't be more happy about it.
I could pick your brains all day, I won't. You mentioned Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk, an absolute master boxer. He conquered everything in the amateur game. He then conquered everyone as a cruiserweight. He then moved up to heavyweight. He went in as an underdog to most of his fights. He went in as a huge underdog for that first fight of Anthony Joshua. Put in one of the most convincing performances we've seen. Then beat him in the second fight. His resume speaks for itself. However, significantly smaller than Tyson Fury. Yep. We don't know whether it was an off night against Francis Ngannou or whether Francis just had Tyson's number that night. But we do expect to see a better Tyson Fury in the fight with Oleksandr Usyk, or I do at least. What do you think going into that clash, May the 18th, and the postponement of the fight? Does that change anything? Obviously, it was meant to happen 2 weeks ago.
I don't think it changes anything. It's just a later date. Maybe there's some details that I'm overlooking. Maybe there's some information that I do not have. But I think the big winner of that evening will be the fans. Right, because it's going to be a technical masterclass from both gentlemen. Can't wait for that. And it's Usyk is a very intelligent fighter. Both are intelligent. So it's difficult to calculate what's going to happen. Of course, I'm not seeing those training camps. I don't know what they're doing, but obviously I would imagine multiple game plans. and then switching between the game plans, right? Something similar to this. But again, it's going to be a technical masterclass. I can't wait.
In terms
But
of...
it could go both ways.
Yeah.
It can go both ways.
We've got a rematch clause in there as well.
Ah, that as well.
Yes.
Okay, so then, yeah.
So 2 fights. Turki Al-Sheikh said last night that the winner of tomorrow night's fight will fight the winner of the 2 fights, Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk.
That's going to be at least, that might be 12 months away.
Yeah,
Year, right?
Or with how active they are, providing no injuries, we could see early next year maybe.
Yeah, at least 12 months.
Yeah.
At least 12 months.
Okay. I am a bit of an MMA casual. My friends will hate me for saying that to you because they are your biggest fans in the world. But what I do know is I saw Jon Jones at the PFL versus Bellator event a couple of weeks ago. We know that Francis left the UFC. His reasons for doing that he made quite clear. Jon Jones over at the PFL. Francis sort of squashed any claims. He called him fat. Is that fight realistic now that Francis has got the deal with the PFL? We know that Dana likes to keep everything in-house. I mean, you'll be able to educate me firsthand.
Not realistic.
No?
The way that the UFC structures their deals is that they do not borrow their fighters. So, it's just not going to happen. Right? Unfortunately. Would have loved to see that fight. Yeah.
How would a fight like that go?
Trained in Albuquerque with Greg Jackson for 4 years. I know John.
Could you put the mic a little? Sorry.
Knows John somewhat. Absolute mastermind. Absolute undisputed. Yeah, amazing fighter. But so is Francis Ngannou. So that would also. We all want to see the fights who are evenly matched up. Fighters at the best, the prime, and then it's a 50-50 coin toss. Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones would have been that type of fight. And I believe the whole world wants to see those kind of fights. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So we're going to have to make do with these upcoming fights. But who wouldn't want to see Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou?
What do you make of the PFL and Bellator merge? Good for the sport?
I do not have enough information to make any judgment about that.
Francis, when he left the UFC, spoke about healthcare and payment and stuff like that. We know that he earned in excess of 10 million for the Tyson Fury fight, and I believe the last fight in MMA under $1 million. We know about boxing obviously having the big financial paydays and stuff. Can you understand his reasons? And also, he did make a bit of a point because a lot of people spoke about doing it, and we know obviously Conor was allowed to fight Floyd, but Dana was heavily involved in that. But this was sort of the first time on a major scale that we'd seen someone come over to boxing and completely cut ties with the UFC. When it all unfolded and how successfully it's gone for him, what are your thoughts on it all?
Well, being a former UFC fighter, I like it. You know, he's pursuing his own dreams. Why would you not do that? Why would you be against that? He's pursuing his dreams. He wants to pursue his goals. He wants to make more money. The way I see it, we live in a free society, free world. You can do that, right? And why would you not want to do that? He's living his best life. I think any objection to that, and of course Dana White doesn't want to do that, because right, Dana White is the UFC. He's representing the UFC's interest. But the UFC's interest is not, in many cases, not the best interest for fighters, right? So I can only applaud it, and I like the fact that we live in a free world, right? That we can do what is best for us. I'm all for that.
More credit to Francis for taking that step. 2 more from me. I know you said you expect Francis Ngannou to win on Friday night. How?
Well, let me rephrase: Francis Ngannou by TKO or Anthony Joshua by decision.
Okay.
That's a little bit how you would see that go.
Finally, from me, what's going in the world of yourself, personal life? Everything good?
Absolutely. Yep. Also living my best life. It's been quite a journey in the last 2 years. but basically retired from fighting a year ago. My body said that we're done with this, and now I'm all into promoting health. So we're here in Saudi Arabia to have some plans. I plan to organize a health expo.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's basically all the methods. I only had one surgery in my 30 years of training and 25 years of competition. Only one surgery. And basically all my methods were holistic. And I am now on a mission. We need to get all these methods out into the world. They served me very well. They kept my body in one piece. And the whole world needs to know. So I want to gather all these amazing individuals that I met along my journey. I want to put them in this health summit. I want to promote sport, right? Because sport is also health and also mental health. So that's the health summit expo that I'm planning to organize. On the other front, phone addiction is a big problem, actually worldwide.
Can I pick up on that?
Absolutely.
Phone addiction.
Phone addiction.
I firsthand will admit I come in that category.
Yeah.
Talk to me. How do we?
It's a big problem.
It is a big problem.
It's a very big problem. I see it everywhere. So I got, I'll explain a little bit. I got alerted to the seriousness of this problem because of my daughter. My daughter Storm was 14 years old when she basically collapsed and could not go to school anymore. And to this day, the specialist, the psychologist, cannot explain to me what was her problem. So while that happened, I myself also went on a journey of discovery. And the only thing, she's in a safe environment. She's with my ex-partner Soraya. She remarried. 2 brothers on that side, so everything was safe and secure. She doesn't have any friends. There's no drugs involved. She's just a lovely child going to school. And I was like, what is wrong in that situation? What is causing this depression? She was depressed. And ultimately, I faced myself and I said, what do we have in common? Right? I also looked at my father. And my father was also always reading the news. I'm also always on my phone, and she was also a lot on her tablet. Right, and remember when she was 4 years old, I told her mother she's too much on the tablet. Yeah. But of course, I'm pursuing my sportive career. I'm in the States, they're in the Netherlands.
Of course.
And it continued. And I said to myself, we'll see where this ends. But I'm not going to cause too much stress because, I'm also pursuing my own career, so I don't want to be of too much negativity. So, but then 9.5 years later, she was 14, where she collapsed. She couldn't go to school. And I look at myself, I'm a lot on my phone. She was a lot on her screen. And I decided to detox myself from the phone. And wow, what a difference did that make. What a difference. So the addiction, I detected the addiction on myself. I'm grabbing it without a reason. I'm on the social media. You got the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you do the circle. And I was wondering, why do I do that? So I broke the addiction because of my daughter. And I felt amazing. So the effect that the addiction does to you is very negative. You're telling me you're addicted yourself. Once you break it, you're gonna feel out of this world. You're going to be. So I decided to help other people. I detoxed 152 people now, and I made a lot of notes. And I'm actually in the process of putting all that information in an app. We're going to start testing in a week. It'll be done in, I think, 5-6 weeks, and then we're going to launch it. And then we're going to get people off their phone addictions. Yeah.
I'm going to get on to Jake and Kaz and everyone because I want to be involved in this somehow because I need to sometimes put it down and take a little bit of a step back. Alistair?
I'll tell you another thing. The addiction is severe. It's not fully recognized yet because the specialists who were treating my daughter, I actually gave it to them. I said, she's a lot on her tablet. I think it's the tablet. Let's keep a track of the tablet. But they disregarded it. So it's not being recognized as a problem, but I know where it leads to. I've seen it on my daughter. If you do not address your phone addiction, ultimately, you are going to be incapacitated and you're not going to be able to do anything. You're just going to be depressed at home. So that's the end station. And if that would motivate you, I don't know what would. But in case of myself, I have done the detox now twice. And my conclusion, even, you need to do it every year.
Now you've done it, do you feel that you're picking it up less?
Absolutely, of course. because the addiction is gone.
Of course.
But of course, we are in the time of information, right? And it's great to have access to all this information. So the addiction will build back on. So you need to do it every year.
Alistair,
I'm in the process of doing it again. Next week, I'm going to do my third detox.
I look forward to seeing how that goes. Alistair Overeem, thank you ever so much for your time here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. An absolute pleasure. We look forward to Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou tomorrow night.